Welcome back to City Skylines 2, and today we're going to be playing in the city of New Blackwood. And welcome back, where the rivers run smooth, the skyline grows bolder with every episode, and Prosperity Enterprises continues to assure us that everything is perfectly within acceptable parameters. In today's episode, we build and update, and we're going to be expanding our waterfront with some beautiful new detailing. We're going to raise a castle to watch over the bay, add a fresh pocket of industry, and refine the luxury mansion district with the sort of attention that only a dedicated mayor or a very patient viewer could appreciate. If you're enjoying the series, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you would like to see next. And if you want to hang out live while we build, swing by the Twitch channel. The link's in the description below. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is begin working on the waterfront, and we kind of already started working on it just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and keep that up, installing the rocks for a water break, and kind of to just help retain the natural topography so it doesn't get washed away. But it also has the added benefit of just generally making our waterfront look nicer. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do here. And there's two different ways you can go about doing this. I've been doing a little bit of both, to be honest, on the channel before, but we haven't really actually sat down and talked about it. But essentially there's manual placing, which is what you're seeing right here. And then there is the basic using the line tool with anarchy on and setting the distance as short as possible. I've done a little bit of both and will continue to do a little bit of both as appropriate. Obviously placing manually looks a lot better. However, it is tedious. So it just depends how close you're going to be looking at the rocks. And generally you can kind of pretty much get away with drawing a line when it's underwater because you're not going to see that as clearly. So if you're looking to mix the techniques, use the line drawing under the water and then do the manual placing above the water. And it generally tends to work out pretty well, especially if you're offsetting your lines from one another, so it looks almost like a manual setup. All right, and after a quick inventory, we're going to go ahead and fix this waterfront right here, because as the housing has expanded, the need to expand that water, the walking area, the pedestrian path by that housing has grown a little bit. We need to extend the pedestrian path along that waterfront. So it took me a little bit of finagling with little bit of landscaping, and eventually just ended up having to use anarchy. I try to avoid anarchy if I can. If there's a way that I'm able to finagle it, I usually will. I find that when you use anarchy, it can sometimes make unexpected errors or glitches with the roads that are immediately attached to an anarchy piece of road. So like I said, I generally try to avoid it, but sometimes just can't avoid it. the only way, there are ways to do it within the vanilla game, but sometimes it's just easier and quicker to just use anarchy. And here in this park, I did decide to go ahead and build a sort of boardwalk that was kind of like a pier. So that's what we're doing here. With that park finished, we're going to go ahead and continue to finish the waterfront over here. We did start it in a previous episode, and sometimes I will come to a stop on a project and then return to it at a later date, and that's basically what's happened here. I did stop declaring it most of the way finished. However, now that I have decided to do some additional building on the waterfront here, we are going to go ahead and place more rocks. All right, and now that we've finished placing those rocks, we're going to go ahead and start laying down a few new streets and do some landscaping to help those streets out as well. And we're going to be building a little industry area. I don't want to make it too heavily populated with the industry district. I just want it to be just a little bit. I want to try, my goal was to basically have a bunch of smaller buildings come in here. So here I am controlling the descent into the landscape and adding in those buildings. And as you can see, they came in rather large. So I decided to go ahead and build a second row instead so I could control the size of the buildings that come in. And aiming to try and get rid of any smokestacks. Next, we're going to go ahead and place this hotel right here. It should be out of the way of any pollution, and we're going to correct this road. All in all, that came out rather nicely. Now we're just going to adjust the highway slip roads to make them just a little longer. Next on the agenda, we're going to purchase the tile and move these borders for the ore industry around here just a little bit. And we're actually going to go ahead and add another one. So we're going to expand our mining in the area by adding in another mining location for ore, and that's going to bring some more jobs into the area, and with more jobs, hopefully more demand for living in the city. All right, we're going to go ahead and take this little peninsula here and turn it into a little park. And we're just going to get the road, not the roads, but the pathways connected in nice and smooth. Add in a little park. We're going to throw in some bushes around the outside of it. And once that's all squared away, we'll throw some trees around the park and maybe a few bushes on this path here and call it finished. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the area here ready for our castle build. So that's going to mean removing the old ruins and, in anticipation for rebuilding them, get the terrain ready, add in a few housing over here, and then we're going to fix up the water line while we're waiting for the money necessary to get that castle up and running. Just touching up a few places that I realized later that I had forgotten to finish up while I'm waiting for that money for that castle. Adding in some boats, and thought about building a drawbridge here, but ultimately ended up deciding not to. Next, we're going to go ahead and begin work on these mansions over here to get them detailed, and I had them purchased by channel points on my Twitch channel by a couple of my viewers, and we're going to go ahead and get the land ready for the detailing work that is going to be done on the first mansion. That's going to include the building of a water area. He requested that he had a yacht at his house, so we're gonna need to find a way to make a yacht fit in this narrow channel and be able to still have access to the back of this house. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to just get the channel ready to have a yacht in it. So yeah, all in all, it's gonna be lots of fun. I ended up working on it and getting the land just right. It took some trial and error, and oh my goodness, thank goodness that the winter has ended, because now we get to see the wonderful springtime weather and the grass has returned to the game. So that's nice. It's easier on the eyes. So we're just gonna continue working on detailing this gentleman's house and getting it nice and ready for him. Alright, and taking a break from the mansions, I decided to go ahead and update the city's district borders because we've grown the city quite a bit and have yet to update the borders. So that's what we're doing here. We're just including all of the new districts into the town's borders. And in order to mark the users' houses, I went ahead and gave them their own small district. So Firefighter Stokes and Evicada's mansions will both be labeled on the map moving forward. With our mansions officially labeled, it's time to move on to our castle now that we've saved up enough money for it. So we're going to go ahead and plop it down on this hill that we have specifically leveled just for this particular build. We're going to build some walk paths around it using our pedestrian roads and a parking road. And then it's time to get creative because we have to figure out how to get the cars up to here, but without having too much disruption in the existing traffic. And I want it to come off of that main road down there, but not off of one of these side streets. So that really presented a challenge of getting the traffic up this hill to this castle without disrupting the natural flow of the traffic too terrible. Alright, with the proper application of trees, we're going to go ahead and add in a little henge here and a little extra graveyard, and then make a path for the people to come down and visit. And with that, I think that'll set our little tourism area for our castle up rather nicely. And it did come out looking pretty swell, I must say. I really liked that. It kind of blends in both with the city, and it's going to blend in with that mansion neighborhood nearby. Now I'm just going to do some detailing with the rocks and with a little old mill here, and then just tweak the landscape a little bit here and there. But for the most part, that castle's looking pretty good. Alright, so with the detailing finished over there, I decided to go ahead and add one of the new assets from the latest patch. Small windmills. They look like they would go perfect on these farms, and as they are out in a farming rural area, not only do they look like they go with these farms, they actually generate a little bit of electricity for these farms, making them self-sufficient should the grid ever go down, which is a plus in my book. So not only do they look like they go along, but they actually fit, and I decided I might as well put in a couple of these bigger ones. These are the new medium-sized ones, and I went ahead and added them in, and I figured that it would just help the city a little bit with the electrical. There was no need for them. It was mostly just cosmetic. But the benefit is it's additional energy just being supplied into the city that we are exporting at this point. Finishing up the windmills, I'm just touring my city, looking at the work, trying to figure out what needs to be adjusted next, and realized I needed to upgrade the bus routes. So the city is in need of new bus routes for the larger districts that we have now created, and I went ahead and planned the bus route out with the intent of having it reversible, hence the double bus stop locations. And yeah, so went ahead and got it all set up. So another thing that will sometimes interrupt my builds is a user purchases a building. In this case, we had a user purchase a medium density row house. So I went ahead and made him a house. It wasn't that hard, the house was already there, but we found him a nice spot right near the park in the heart of downtown where he could easily access everything. So went ahead and got that labeled, showed off the park a little bit to him, and went back into the build. Alright, gonna do some touch-ups, repairs here from disasters, and add in a couple more trees. We're just going to be doing some touch-up detailing here, and just trying to like smooth some areas out. It was a lovely build today, and I really appreciate everybody who came and hung out today and watched. Thank you very much. A couple more trees here, I think. And I think for the detailing wise, we're just about finished with the little township that we have going on right here. It doesn't mean that we will stop building, however, it just means that for right here, we might be basically running out of things to detail. I do need to finish up these mansions, but other than the mansions, there's not going to be a lot left, as I don't intend to continue. But we finished our castle area, and we did our waterfront over by Prosperity Enterprises, and we did our industries. We upgraded them just a little bit, getting rid of the smokestacks, and yeah, we just improved a few things, and then made sure that, you know, the city was doing well. We did work on our hospital area a little bit. We do need to upgrade it, but I think that's going to be coming down the road. So thanks everybody who hung out and watched today. And of course, you know, we put the little windmills in, and the big and the medium-sized windmills in, and got them all situated. And then we built we did the upgrades. So we upgraded the park with that boardwalk today. We'll be showing that off here in just a second. Yeah, so it was a really good build. It was a lot of fun, And I'm not done with the map, and I'm not done with the story of New Blackwood. I just, for this particular section of the map, I don't foresee there being any major changes. So I think the next time we play, it'll be in a new area on the same map. We're gonna build another little town on another side of the map, and see how that one goes. So thanks for watching and hanging out. Don't forget to hit the buttons that tell the algorithms I've done a good job. Like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. And stay tuned. And don't forget, if you want to watch me build live and hang out with chat and influence the build, you can absolutely influence the build and help make the decisions that change the course of history for New Blackwood City by hanging out in the Twitch chat when we are live. I look forward to seeing everybody there, and thanks for coming. Take care, everybody.